One cold, rainy day, Sophia Mitchell stopped to help an elderly man stuck in a wheelchair on the side of the road, not expecting that small act to open up a strange story. The next morning, a lawyer appeared at her doorstep with a letter and a surprise gift from that man. The gift was so big that Sophia was worried about accepting it. To find answers, she decided to meet again. The man found the girl wandering the street at a corner, shaking, taking off her shoes, and tossing her robot aside. She discovered her lost story of loss. What happened next changed not only Sophia's life, but also her small community, all starting with one act: kind in the rain. Welcome to Kindness Stories, where small acts of kindness have the power to change lives. Today we will explore a story that began on a rainy day, a seemingly simple act that opened the door to hope and gratitude. Let's listen to the story of Sophia and the mysterious man in the wheelchair, a story that will surely touch your heart. Sophia Mitchell lives a simple but struggling life in a small town in the middle of America. At 32, she has become accustomed to the same routine: waking up early, getting ready in a hurry, and working 8 hours at the grocery store on Main Street. Everything in Sophia's life seems to revolve around making enough money to pay the bills, pay the rent, and buy food for herself and her small dog, Buddy. Buddy is her only companion, waiting for her to come home each day with his tail wagging. Sophia's town is peaceful, but full of people struggling with their own struggles. Quaint houses, a few small restaurants, and an old grocery store are the main features of this place. People here live close to each other, everyone knows each other, but each person is immersed in their own worries. For Sophia, kindness is the most precious thing anyone can give without costing anything. It was a gray, rainy day, the rain falling steadily for what seemed like an eternity. Sophia had just finished her shift and was driving her old car home. The windshield wipers were working hard to keep her vision clear. As she passed a small intersection, Sophia noticed a figure sitting motionless in a wheelchair near the sidewalk. He was stuck, the front wheel of the wheelchair stuck in a crack in the sidewalk, rainwater splashing around him. Sophia frowned, glanced in the rear-view mirror, and quickly parked the car on the side of the road. She got out of the car, feeling the cold rain soaking into her thin coat. But that didn't stop her from hesitating. "Are you okay?" Sophia asked, her voice soft and full of concern. The old man raised his head, his eyes tired but still shining with gratitude. "It's just, the wheel is stuck. I can't lift it up by myself," he said, his voice hoarse but warm. Sophia didn't hesitate to bend down, carefully pushing and lifting the wheelchair out of the jam. Her hands were wet and cold, but when she saw his smile, she only replied with one sentence: "It's okay. Are you okay?" The man introduced himself as Henry Parker, a man who lived alone in a nearby nursing home. Henry looked at Sophia with warm eyes and said, "Thank you very much. Not everyone stops on a rainy day like this." Sophia smiled and replied humbly, "Everyone deserves help. Don't worry." Then she said goodbye to Henry and walked back to her car, feeling strangely warm in the cold rain. Little did she know that this small act would change her life forever. The next morning, Sophia woke up to the sound of the doorbell ringing repeatedly, breaking the quiet of the early morning. Buddy, her little dog, barked loudly, running to the door as if to signal that there was a visitor. Sophia rubbed her eyes, quickly put on an old sweater, and went to open the door. She could not have expected the person standing at the door to be a middle-aged man, dressed elegantly in a black suit, holding a shiny leather briefcase. "Hello, I am Thomas Reynolds, the attorney representing Mr. Henry Parker," the man introduced himself in a calm, professional yet friendly voice. Sophia frowned, confused because the name Henry Parker sounded familiar, but she couldn't immediately place it. "Henry Parker? Ah!" she exclaimed as yesterday's memories flooded back. The image of the old man in the rain appeared clearly. "Mr. Parker would like to send you a message of thanks," Thomas continued, smiling slightly. "May I come in to explain further?" Sophia hesitated but then invited him into her small apartment. She quickly made a spot on the old sofa while Buddy sat obediently watching from a distance. The atmosphere in the room became strangely tense as Thomas placed his briefcase on the table, unzipped it, and took out a large white envelope. "Mr. Henry Parker asked me to send this to you as a sincere thank you," Thomas said, pushing the envelope toward Sophia. Sophia stared at the envelope as if it were something dangerous. "Wait, a gift? I think there's some mistake here. I just helped him a little yesterday, nothing major. I can't accept anything." Thomas smiled calmly, as if accustomed to this reaction. "Mr. Parker made it clear in his letter that you helped him when no one else would. It was no small thing for him. He was very appreciative of your kindness and wanted to repay you in the only way he could." Sophia shook her head, finding the situation strange and confusing. "But I didn't do it to get anything in return. I just thought it was the right thing to do." Thomas looked at Sophia with a deep gaze. "I understand. Mr. Parker knows that too. But he believes that kindness should be recognized. And if he can help make your life better, why not?" Sophia was silent for a long moment, staring at the envelope. Finally, she took a deep breath and carefully opened it. Inside, there was a neatly handwritten letter and a check that almost made her drop everything to the floor. She stared at the check with a number that made her heart pound. "No, this can't be," Sophia exclaimed, her voice trembling. "This number, I can't accept it." Thomas kept his composure. "I understand your reaction, but read the letter before you decide." Sophia put the check down on the table and opened the letter. Henry's voice echoed in her mind as she read each emotional handwritten line. "Sophia, thank you for stopping in the rain yesterday and helping a poor old man like me. It may have been a small act to you, but to me it has rekindled a hope that I thought I had lost long ago. For many years I have lived alone, without family, without friends, surrounded by darkness. You have reminded me that there is still goodness in this world. I don't have much time left, but I want to use what I have to help those who deserve it. You can refuse if you want, but I hope you will accept and use it to do something good for yourself and for those around you. You have a beautiful heart. Don't let life's difficulties take away that light. Thank you again. You changed my life, and now I hope I can change yours. Henry Parker." Sophia put down the letter, her eyes red. Henry's emotional words left her speechless. She didn't know how to react to this situation. Why would a near stranger place such great trust in her? "Mr. Parker left the majority of his estate to you," Thomas continued, breaking the silence. "I know this may be too much for you right now, but I am only following his last wishes." Sophia bowed her head, lost in thought. Deep down, she wanted to refuse. She didn't want to be seen as greedy or accepting something that wasn't hers. But Henry's letter said something else. He wanted her to accept it and turn it into something better. "Can I think about it?" Sophia asked softly, her voice still trembling. "Of course," Thomas replied. "It's an important decision. I'll give you time to think about it. When you're ready, contact me." Thomas stood up, straightened his suit jacket, and walked out the door, leaving Sophia sitting in the small room, dazed. Buddy jumped up on the chair, nuzzling his head into her hand as if to comfort her. Sophia petted him, looking at the check and letter on the table. That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. Henry's words echoed in her mind. The light that had sparkled in the rain the day before still seemed to linger in his eyes. She knew what she had to do, but a vague fear remained. Would she have the courage to turn this gift into something truly meaningful? The next morning, Sophia decided that she needed to see Henry Parker again. She needed to understand more about the man who had placed all his trust and gratitude in her, just because of a small act on a rainy day. Willow Creek Nursing Home, with mixed feelings. The old building was nestled in a small garden, its tall windows still bathed in morning sunlight. She took a deep breath to calm herself, telling herself she had come to talk to Henry and get to know him better. Stepping inside, Sophia was led by a nurse down a long hallway where dim lighting reflected off the polished floors. The atmosphere was strangely quiet, except for the occasional soft footsteps of the staff. Finally, the nurse stopped in front of a small room. "Mr. Henry is waiting for you inside. He was so happy to hear you were coming," the nurse said, giving a soft smile. Sophia pushed the door open and entered the room. The light from the window shone in, creating a warm atmosphere despite the simple room. Henry Parker sat at a small table near the window, a thin blanket covering his lap. He was looking out at the garden, his eyes distant but peaceful. When he heard the door open, he turned and smiled at Sophia. "You're here, Sophia," Henry said, his voice as warm as the day before. "Hello, Henry," Sophia replied, coming over and sitting down in the chair across from him. "I think I need to see you to understand things better." Henry nodded, his eyes soft as he looked at her. "I know this must be a surprise to you. Sit down, Sophia. I want to tell you something." Sophia sat quietly, her hands clasped in her lap, waiting for the story that she sensed would be important. "You know," Henry began, his eyes staring out the window, "there are times in my life when I forget that the world is still full of good things. I was a successful businessman, had everything, a house, money, a happy family. But life is never all roses." Sophia sat quietly, listening intently as Henry continued. 15 years ago, a car accident took my wife and son. I survived, but I was never the same. After the accident, I threw myself into work to forget the pain. But money can buy many things, except peace of mind. Henry paused for a moment, taking a deep breath before continuing. "I lost all my willpower, and my health deteriorated over time. My close friends gradually abandoned me, and the company I spent my whole life building was sold. In the end, I was left with nothing but my memories and this wheelchair." Sophia felt a lump in her throat when she heard those words. She couldn't imagine someone who had everything now living alone in a nursing home. "But then that day," Henry continued, a little light in his eyes, "you appeared in the rain. When my wheelchair got stuck, many people passed by, but no one stopped. And you not only stopped, you smiled at me. You made an old man like me believe that kindness still exists." Sophia bowed her head, her voice soft. "But it's just a small thing, Henry. I think anyone would do the same if they saw you in trouble." Henry shook his head, smiling tiredly but sincerely. "No, Sophia. It's the little things that mean the most. You've made me realize that life is worth living and that kindness can spread. I have no family, no one to entrust my remaining wealth to. But when I saw you, I knew I had found the right person." Sophia was silent, her heart filled with emotion. She never thought that something as simple as helping a stranger could have such great meaning. She looked at Henry, the old man sitting in front of her, and saw in his eyes a trust and hope that she had never seen before. "What do you want me to do with that gift?" Sophia asked, her voice soft. Henry smiled, his eyes soft. "I want you to use it in whatever way makes the most sense to you. Maybe it's to improve your life or to do something better for this community. I trust that in your heart you'll know how to use it properly." Sophia looked at him, her heart filled with thoughts. She never thought she would be in this situation, being given such a great opportunity for an act of kindness. But looking at Henry now, she knew that he truly believed in her, and she couldn't let him down. "I will think about it, Henry," Sophia said, her voice firmer. "I promise I will not let your kindness go to waste." Henry nodded, satisfaction evident on his face. "I believe in you, Sophia. You have a good heart, and the world needs more people like you." The meeting lasted for a while longer. Henry and Sophia talked like old friends. She listened to him tell her more about his memories of his youth, his unfulfilled dreams, and his regrets in life. That conversation not only helped Sophia understand Henry better, but also made her realize that sometimes kindness is not only about saving others, but also about bringing hope to a lost soul. As Sophia left the nursing home, the sun was high in the sky, washing away the raindrops that lingered on the leaves. As she drove home, she thought about Henry and the letter he had left her. She knew that this gift would change her life, but more importantly, it could be her chance to change the lives of others. "Thank you, Henry," Sophia whispered, looking out at the vast horizon. "I won't let you down." Sophia returned to her small apartment late in the afternoon, feeling that everything around her was quieter than usual. The check and Henry's letter were still lying neatly on the table from the day before. Sophia sat down and stared at them for a long time, her mind filled with a series of thoughts. She had never had so much money in her life. It could solve all her financial problems, help her escape from her days of struggle, pay off her debts, and even dream of a better life. But with this opportunity came an invisible burden. Henry trusted her to turn it into something meaningful, not only for herself, but for those around her. That night, Sophia tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Buddy lay beside her, occasionally looking up at his thoughtful master. She thought about Henry, about what he had said, and about the lives of the people in town. Images flashed through her mind. The family next door who went to the grocery store, counting every penny. Old Mary on Main Street, living alone in a dilapidated house. And the kids at the local school, always short on school supplies. The next morning, Sophia woke up with a new determination. She got dressed, smoothed her hair, and looked at herself in the mirror. "I have to do something," she whispered to herself, as if to strengthen her resolve. Sophia went to the bank to get the check validated. She was still nervous, but once the paperwork was done, she realized this was a real opportunity. Back home, Sophia took out a pen and paper and started making a list of things she could do with the money. First things first, she decided to pay off her debts and renovate her apartment. The peeling walls, the leaky roof during the rainy season, and the old furniture would be replaced. Not because Sophia wanted to be extravagant, but because she knew she needed a better place to start a new life. A few weeks later, Sophia's small apartment had a new look. The walls were painted bright white, the roof was sturdier, and Sophia even bought a new bed, something she had long dreamed of. As she stood in the middle of the clean, tidy room, Buddy jumped up to her feet as if to share her joy. Sophia smiled, feeling as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. But Sophia knew that Henry wanted more than just her to improve her life. He had given her the confidence to do something bigger. With that in mind, Sophia began walking around town to observe and learn about people's needs. She spent time talking to the familiar people she often saw: poor families, elderly people living alone, and children at school. Finally, she decided to use the remaining money to open a free food store for the needy families in town. She called it Henry's Hope. Henry's Hope that she wanted to spread to everyone. The shop is housed in a spacious old house that she rented at a reasonable rent. Together with a few volunteers from the town, Sophia transformed it into a warm and welcoming place. She posted a small sign on the glass door: "Take what you need, and if you can, give what you have." Sophia was nervous during the first few days of opening. Would people accept the idea? Was she doing the right thing? But the first people who walked into the store cleared away all her doubts. Mary, an elderly woman who lived alone, came in with tears in her eyes. "Thank you, Sophia. It's been a long time since I've had a full stomach," she said, squeezing her hand. Other young families came to the store with smiles and gratitude. More than just a food pantry, Henry's Hope has become a small community hub. People come here not only to receive, but also to give. Those who have extra money bring donations, even if it's just a bag of rice or a few cartons of milk. Children run around laughing, and Sophia is busy but happier than ever. One day, when the store started to operate stably, Sophia sat at the small table at the cashier counter, silently watching people coming and going. She remembered the first day she met Henry in the rain, the image of his stuck wheelchair and his warm smile. Henry gave her the gift of not just money, but the opportunity to change her life and the lives of many others. And Sophia did. She stood up and walked to the front of the store, where a small sign reading "Henry's Hope" was shining in the afternoon sun. A little girl ran up to her, holding a small box of cookies that her mother had brought from the store. "Thank you, Miss Sophia," she exclaimed, and ran away with a big smile. Sophia smiled, looking at the distant horizon, and said to herself, "Thank you, Henry. I hope you are proud of what I have done." A gentle breeze blew by, carrying the scent of sunshine and a sense of peace. Sophia knew she had found true meaning in life. Her kindness had been multiplied, and Henry's hope would live on in the people of this small town. Over time, Henry's hope became a fixture in the small town. Every morning, Sophia opened her doors to those in need. From the elderly to young families to struggling workers, everyone found a little hope and warmth when they walked through her doors. Sophia doesn't stop at just providing food. She also organizes sharing sessions where people in the town can come together to chat, share their stories, and help each other. A few lucky people get extra jobs through referrals, and children receive books and clothes through small donations. The atmosphere here is always filled with warmth and humanity, something that seemed lost in the harsh life before. Sophia felt happier than ever. Every day she saw Henry in every smile, every thank you, and every emotional look from the people who passed by the store. She knew he would be proud of his decision, the decision to trust and give a chance to someone like her. One autumn afternoon, as the leaves covered the sidewalk, Sophia received a letter from attorney Thomas Reynolds. Inside was a brief note from him, along with an old photo of Henry. In the photo, Henry was much younger, standing in a lush green garden, his eyes bright and his smile confident. "Henry Parker would be so proud of what you've done, Sophia. He always believed that kindness could change the world, and you've proven that. Thank you for making his dream come true." Sophia held the photo, her eyes watering with emotion. She looked out the window, where the yellow leaves were gently blowing in the wind. Henry was no longer in this world, but his spirit and hope remained. That evening, Sophia held a small party at the Henry's Hope store to celebrate the first anniversary of the store's opening. People from all over the town came to celebrate, bringing their own food and stories. Under the warm yellow light, laughter echoed throughout the small space, erasing all the hardships and worries of life. Sophia stood in the middle of the crowd, looking around and smiling happily. She was no longer the woman struggling with life like before. Now, she was the one who brought hope to those around her, just like Henry had given her that hope. As the night fell and people began to leave, Sophia cleaned up the shop alone. She walked over to the small board on the wall where she had framed Henry's handwritten letter. His words were still there, reminding her of why this all began. Kindness may be a small act, but sometimes it can change a life. Sophia tapped the window lightly as a thank you to Henry. She stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the fresh autumn air. The moonlight illuminated the small path, and somewhere Sophia believed Henry was smiling, proud of her and what she had accomplished. "Thank you, Henry," Sophia whispered, her voice soft as a breeze. "I will continue to spread this kindness like a small light shining to those who need it." She turned back to the store, where the warm light still shone like a symbol of hope. The sign "Henry's Hope" glittered in the moonlight, reminding everyone that kindness will always exist as long as we are willing to give. And Sophia knew her life had changed, not just because of Henry's gift, but because she had found the true meaning of life: to give, to share, and to bring hope to those who needed it most. The story of Sophia and Mr. Henry shows us that sometimes a small act of kindness can make a big difference. Kindness is a gift that never loses its value as long as we are willing to give it. You don't have to be rich or powerful to help others, just a sincere heart. If you love this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to spread this meaningful message to more people. See you again in the next stories at kindnessstories.org, where kindness is always the light that illuminates life.